I'm Juan Francisco, and I'm a psychic medium. I'm here with you to explore your intuition, the supernatural, and self-empowerment. This is Third Eyesight. Hello, dear listeners. I hope you're doing well today. Well, first of all, before I get into the topic of the episode, I am doing a group mediumship reading in mid-September, and I'm already starting to see a lot of slots filling up, thanks to Spirit Social, which is run by Hannah McIntyre and is a great social media app for people who like the woo-woo, like the spiritual stuff. There are a lot of mediums and psychics on there. It's a great new social media app. I've been really enjoying it and connecting with fellow mediums and psychics and people who just enjoy this stuff. But thanks to Spirit Social, my mid-September podcast group is really ramping up in terms of the guest slots. It's incredible. I think there's at least 15 people now who are going to be part of this free group mediumship reading that is for the Third Eyesight podcast. It's going to be recorded for the podcast. It's going to be unedited, so you know exactly what it's like to hear a demonstration of mediumship, raw, unfiltered, well, not dirty or graphic, but you know what I mean. No edits, so it's really the real deal. So sign up for the group mediumship reading by going to the details in the link in the show notes in the description for this podcast episode. So today's episode, coming down from the mountaintop. I was literally in the mountains a couple weeks ago. And I just want to talk about what I'm feeling. And I just want to say up front, I don't know if I'm going to get emotional in this episode. It's possible because I've been very emotional for the last week or two. Sometimes we have these really beautiful, intense moments as human beings, and we want them to stick around. We want the feeling to stick and to linger. And I call this, having these mountaintop moments and then going down into the valley where we are in the other parts of our life that could use some integrating of what we've learned on the mountaintop. And on the mountaintop, sometimes we forget that we have dating lives that maybe to some of us feel difficult. We have family that we don't get along with. We don't love to cook and it's a chore to meal prep for the week. And maybe that mountaintop looks like a retreat, like what I just went on in the last 2 weeks. Maybe it's you going on vacation for a long time. Maybe it's you going to a yoga class. And then when the yoga class ends, it's like, oh, I have all these responsibilities I need to take on or that I have to fulfill. And it's very important to remember that as human beings, we really are built for both the mountain peaks and the valleys. This is a metaphor that I've stolen from, I think, some Christian theology and, the idea that Moses, or Judeo-Christian rather, that Moses is at the top of the mountain getting the 10 commandments from God, but then it comes down from the mountaintop and is amongst the people. And if you know me well on this podcast, you know that I get a little bit reluctant or a little bit suspicious about mediums who say that they get this aura that they're always on mountaintops doing yoga poses and meditating for 3 hours a day, which none of that is bad, by the way. But if that's all your life consists of and you're avoiding the valley moments, you're avoiding facing some fears, some insecurities, then what are you living this journey for of being a medium? Being human is all about learning and pushing ourselves. And so if you feel like you're in a valley moment right now, just know that it's okay. You're going to be okay. And remember those mountain peak moments you had. Remember what you felt, what you learned, and carry that with you into the valley. By the time this episode goes up, a couple weeks ago, I had arrived at Easton Mountain, which is a spiritual, well, not necessarily spiritual, but is a retreat center for queer people. It mostly attracts queer men and gay men. It's in the Adirondacks in Greenwich, not Greenwich, as I learned there, because there's Greenwich, Connecticut. Then there's Greenwich, New York. It's apparently pronounced Greenwich. In Greenwich, Connecticut, just outside of Albany. And as soon as we drove into the retreats, I was there by myself, by the way, but I hitched a ride with someone who was also going and who I met through the Facebook group for the retreat center. As we drove into the center to the property, I just felt something different. It felt beautiful. And there's these pride flags up on the lodge, and I'm just like, how cool to be in the middle of nowhere and see these pride flags. Ugh. And let me tell you, folks, by the end of the week, I didn't want to leave. I felt like I had found another home. And I had such an intense, I'm already getting emotional. Please do some Cynthia Ariana with me and hold some space with me. I, I, this was life changing for me. It was transformational. I've shared before on this podcast a lot about myself and my journey. And I do believe that the way we treat ourselves as human beings affects how we work as psychics and mediums. I've met so many psychic mediums who are so down on themselves, who don't like themselves. And it doesn't ruin or contaminate their readings, but the way they may relay a message to someone can be a sign of where they're at in their hearts with themselves on their journey. As humans, we just naturally project. We project our own experience onto other people. We have to be very conscientious of how we do that, when we do that, how much we do it. And as mediums, if we're not in a place where we are comfortable with being with ourselves or being ourselves to begin with, how are we supposed to grow in our journey as a human being? Either in a mediumship reading, maybe, let's say as an example, that I will avoid, like I'll pretend that, and this is what I used to do, like in my mediumship readings of clients, I am not me, or I put all that to the side, all my issues. Which, yes, it's important to not bring your baggage into a reading with a client. That's what you should do. But to totally avoid the whole complete person I am when doing my work, for me, it doesn't work for me. And I noticed that the more I did heart healing, inner child healing, I became a better medium. I became even more compassionate. I became even more understanding. I think I'm getting less judgmental. I'm pretty judgmental, y'all. I'm sorry. I hope that doesn't scare anybody away from doing a reading with me, but I really am not a judgmental person. I may have my opinions. We all have opinions. We all judge to a certain extent, but I understand more than I used to. I understand people's unique situations because I have come to love myself more, and I am as hard on other people as I will be with myself. And the less hard I am on myself, the more understanding I'm going to be with other people and their situations or the questions they have. So this retreat I was on, it was a week long. It was called Gay Spirit Camp. And it was a gorgeous time. The majority of the men there were above 55 or 60 years old. And I expected that. I didn't expect to go and kiki with a bunch of young gay men. And it would have been nice, but I didn't really need that. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking to connect with like-minded gay men. And that I did. And I just want to say a little aside to my fellow queer people listening to the podcast. Finding older queer people to talk to about what it's like to grow up old, to get older as a queer person, it's so valuable. I heard so many stories about what it's like to be an old gay man. And oh my gosh, and to see these older gay men go down a slippy slide down a hill, and it's like, oh, I want to be like them when I'm older. There were many workshops involved. Some of them involved intuition and mediumship. There was a really wonderful workshop with Michael R. Smith, who is a psychic medium and a healer. I intend to have him on the podcast soon. He was the ride that I hitched with. His friend drove us to Easton Mountain. And he was just so wonderful. And I can't wait to have him on the podcast for you to hear just how much light shines through him when he speaks. He's just so vibrant. He did a great workshop on, he had everyone, it was maybe at least 35 people, 35 people, most of whom do not believe they are mediums, practice mediumship. It was so cool. It was great. There was another workshop by Mike Gilroy, who is a medium as well, and he actually did a demonstration, and it was really, really lovely. And I love seeing other mediums work because I get to learn new ways of doing this work, and also what doesn't work for me, right? And that's just normal. Every medium is different. There are some other workshops at the retreat, like gazing into somebody's eyes and then telling them what you like about their body, what you like about who they are. And as I was looking through the eyes of these older gay men, it really hit me that, oh my gosh, I'm going to be at that point in my life one day. And they were once my age and younger. There's still a little boy in this person who wants to be loved, who wants to be cared for, who wants to love somebody, or who wants to feel accepted. And a lot of times, I mean, in our culture in general, at least in United States culture, we're very ageist. And there's a lot of invisibility in the elderly, the senior community, that we put them, we have this habit of putting them in nursing homes, which is not a bad thing, y'all. Nursing homes are not bad, okay? But I think it's just in this culture, it's just we don't want to see or interact with older people. And that's a problem. And in queer culture, oh my goodness, in gay culture, gay cisgender male culture, it is very ageist. It can be very ageist. And we forget that we have so much wisdom to hear from older gay men. So just looking into the eyes of these older men, I just thought, wow, there is a beautiful soul in this person. And there's still a little boy who just wants to be loved. And this person was once young. And I'm going to be them one day. It was very humbling, and it was gorgeous. The best word I could think of, it was gorgeous. And I learned a lot that week that I was at Easton Mountain about just what I deserve out of life, what I deserve for myself. Oh, and I have an experience to share. I have one experience I want to share with you guys that was just really beautiful. I okay, I'm going to try and share it without breaking my voice. At the end of the week, we all wrote down on a paper, individual pieces of paper, what we want to release. And we put it in this goblet, like a goblet of fire, in a goblet. And that goblet was then, all the papers were poured into later a bonfire, a fire pit. And people started dancing around the fire pit, holding hands and making noises. Now, as for me, I'm like, this kind of thing is not for me. But what I'm going to do, instead of joining this fire dance, is I'm going to kneel on this grass and pray. Something I mentioned in the last podcast about breaking illusions that I ended up not delving into it, is my work with Mother Mary. Not work, just relationship. I've been feeling her more and more thanks to the Solely podcast with Peyton and Shayla. They mentioned Mother Mary. They did a whole podcast on her. I think the last podcast or a couple podcasts ago on their end. And that reminded me to reconnect with Mother Mary, listening to their podcast. And I've been reconnecting with her, and y'all, I have been feeling Mother Mary. So I'm kneeling down on this grass. The fire pit is in front of me. People are dancing, making noises, and I'm kneeling on the grass, crossing my hands on my lap in prayer, and just bowing my head in my sheer green tank top after a day of being at the pool. This is at nighttime, of course. And I'm just praying. I'm praying the Our Father. I'm praying the Hail Mary. I'm praying the Glory Be. And these are all prayers that I grew up learning in Catholic school that still mean a lot to me. And I kid you not, folks. I open my eyes after I finish my prayer. I look up to the left, up at the night sky, and not even 5 seconds pass, and I see a huge shooting star with a blue tail. And I told the person next to me, "Did you just see that?" They said, "No, what?" I said, "There was a shooting star over there." Like, oh, wow. And can you believe, a week after that, I was asking for more signs. I'm human. And I had to remind myself, Juan, you got a beautiful sign right there in the middle of the Adirondacks, kneeling on the grass. What more do you need? like have faith. It reminded me so much. This experience has reminded me so much to have faith in my connection. The connection we all have, the connection that you have right now. We can't escape the connection. All that we do to not feel it is to not acknowledge it. But we can just acknowledge it and it's there waiting for us. If I won't share all the details of what I went through that week at the retreat and the week that I've been back, but I needed that side. And I really needed it. And I didn't ask for it. I was just praying. And I won't ever forget that. And it was blue, which for me, the color blue, a light blue, I associate with Mother Mary, actually. Because of the veil. Often she's depicted wearing a light blue veil. And there was so much I experienced the last 2 weeks. I really had an aha moment and some surprises that really made me confront a lot of questions I've had about myself, about how I interact with people. And this sounds so cryptic, but I'll just put it this way. The way I love myself and the way I love other people, I had a crash course in it at Easton Mountain and the week after that I've been back. And I'm still processing it. This is now 5 days after being back from Easton Mountain, and I'm still scared. I'm excited. I'm excited about the opportunity there is before me. And this is nothing to do with my mediumship work, technically, or my psychic work, this growth I'm feeling, this fear I'm feeling about growth. But I know that this will only help me as a human being, and thus will help me as a psychic medium. Because I'm going through a situation right now that I thought I would never be in. Because I thought, oh, that's crazy. Or that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? Why would you put yourself in this situation? And yet I'm in it, and I'm feeling the importance of it. I was telling someone recently who's a life coach. They were telling me, I did a reading for them, and I told them, you're not a fraud. You're not less of a life coach because you're going through this situation right now that you would coach a client on. They said they needed to hear that. We're just human. And look, I'm human, and I've loved myself more now than I did 2 years ago. And I think I have more to learn about how I love other people. Can't believe I'm crying on the podcast. I don't like this because I feel like I don't, yeah. Again, I know it's so cryptic, but I really want to keep it personal. It's very personal. And it's important to me. But I've been feeling excited and I've been feeling scared. But the excitement is bigger. I feel like there's opportunity. I feel like I told my therapist, thank God I had therapy the day after I returned. I told my therapist, I told him, I have a lot to tell you. I've been going through it. Like, y'all, the therapist, he went for 2 hours with me. I told my friends, therapy this week was lit. Therapy was lit this week. Litty lit. I told him I'm going through a lot, but I want to say first, I feel like I'm on the precipice of a lot of opportunity and growth. And that's how I'm seeing all this scary stuff. And just to clarify, when I say scary, I'm not in danger. It's just fear of heartbreak. It's fear of rejection. It's fear of not being good enough. And I need to face that. I need to face that because you only live once. I just heard from yesterday, someone I used to know, their husband just passed at the age of 42, within a week shy of his birthday, of turning 43. This person is 36 and lost his husband. And I'm here freaking out of whether someone's going to accept me or not. You only live once. You got to take a chance. Be smart about it, but take a chance. And so going back to mountaintops versus peaks and valleys. I've had this incredible experience at Easton Mountain. I highly recommend it to anyone who identifies as queer, and especially if you identify as a queer man, because connecting with men intimately, and I mean emotionally intimately and personally intimately, was just so powerful. And that's what I went for, and that's what I got. I'm so happy I went. I can't wait to go back. I'm already planning when am I going to go back. But coming down from literally that mountaintop, because it was in the mountains, now I'm back here, and I told people I feel like an alien in New York City, because I felt this thing that feels possible. It was like a controlled environment of people with good intentions. You don't get that outside of that environment, not that easily, unless you make it, create it, or go find it. But I'm back here, and I've been reacclimating, and okay, what can I take from that experience? Well, now I'm back here in New York City. I want to find connection like that. I want to live my life with my heart. My therapist told me, not my heart on my sleeve, but my heart in a beautiful glass box with holes to breathe in the box. Look, this is my heart. Look how beautiful it is. And have some boundaries. That's where the glass box comes in. I want to live my life openly, but it's hard because it's scary. But it will make me a better human. And as I told someone, I'm doing it for the plot. For the plot. I was telling my mother about the thing that I'm going through that's personal. And I said, this makes my life very interesting. Even though it's crazy, a little scary, it makes it very interesting. And I know the value in this situation I'm going through. I see the positive value for myself. So this is just to remind you, if you feel like you're in a mountaintop moment, hold on to the feeling you have as you exit that moment and go back into the valleys of your life. Hold on to that feeling. Take it with you. We have these mountaintop experiences to remind us that that feeling is possible, that we can create it for ourselves. I got that sign in the sky. I got this sign in the sky from God. Now, what am I going to do with that feeling? A week later, I'm asking for more signs. But then I remind myself, wait, I had the blessing and the privilege of seeing that sign. I didn't have to look up at the sky at that moment. I didn't. So how is that teaching me to keep the faith? And to believe in myself? Because I was in a space when I was praying at that moment, a space of trying to honor myself and just live life openly. And then I get this sign. Then I come back home and I'm freaking out about living life openly. Then I tell myself, wait, but you were praying about this and you got this sign. So hold on to that faith. So if you're struggling right now and you're in a valley moment, remember how the mountaintop felt and carry that with you as you move through the situation you're in, as you move through making a decision, honoring yourself, living life openly and to the fullest. Because really, folks, life can feel very short. Telling people you love them, telling people you're in love with them, go for it. Why not? As long as you're not endangering yourself or others, as long as you are being fair to yourself, but also being fair to other people and the journeys that they're on. The valley is where all the interesting stuff happens. For the plot. Do it for the plot. So I leave you with that. Thank you for listening, for holding space with me. I appreciate you all. And I'm sending a lot of love to you all. Take care. See you on the next episode. Follow the podcast and please leave a review. If you want me to talk about a specific subject on the podcast or you have a question for the podcast, go to juanfranciscospirit.com and go to my contact page and submit that question.